What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Simple Man Podcast. My name is Brody. Hope you guys had a great weekend and are looking forward to a good week. We've got Mando Chapter 22 coming out this week. No Bad Batch, unfortunately. There was the epic finale of Season 2 this past week. And man, I'm feeling good. I feel like Star Wars is alive right now, unlike somebody that we know. Oh, man, that's depressing. But before we get into that, I do want to let you guys know YouTube is ramping up on my side, man. I've been putting out videos almost every day. Just little like breakdowns, analysis. I definitely have more ideas for like longer form videos, but I really like the idea of like posting a little bit of analysis, each day on a certain topic. So definitely check out my YouTube if you don't follow that already. It is Brody1 Kenobi. I've been getting some really good feedback from you guys, so definitely appreciate that. Also, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please send a review my way. I would really appreciate that. It helps the show, helps it get to new listeners. So definitely appreciate that. And again, hope you guys are chilling. Hope you guys are not hanging from a rail car about 2,000 feet from the sky. Any position other than that, you're probably looking pretty good. So before we get too far into Bad Batch or Mando, I did finish season 1 of the Clone Wars, and it is on drugs. Fact. Season 1 is kind of wild. It's like all over the place, and Jar Jar's there, and he's acting wacky, and the animation is complete garbage in the first half of the season. But honestly, it was pretty fun, and I've been watching it with my girlfriend, and she's been liking it a lot, so that's kind of the point of rewatching it anyway, so I can get her a little bit more addicted to Star Wars than she already is. So no, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to season 2. It is crazy how like much the animation improved from the start of the show to the end of the show, though. If you go and watch like the first few episodes of season 1, you're like, what is this? Like a video game from like 2004? But honestly, like probably like halfway through the season, the animation does get a lot better. So whatever they did, they did good. As far as that, been rewatching Andor as well, and man, I gotta admit, I may have been wrong. It is a good flavor of Star Wars. I mean, again still like not my absolute favorite. Like I would take Mando over Andor if I could only have one, but I mean we have both, so I don't think there's a point in pitting them against each other. Like, Mando is great for a lot of reasons, and Andor is great for a lot of reasons. I do think Andor is a little bit more applicable to like just a normal TV viewer. Like if somebody likes, HBO shows and like dramatic TV, like a lot of people do, Andor is going to appeal to them. Whereas Mando, might be a little too out there fantasy space, for somebody's liking. But Andor honestly has been great. We're halfway through the season. We just finished the Aldhani arc, and man, that scene where they're escaping the Aldhani base is so sick, and the Eye of the Storm or whatever is so beautiful. And the soundtrack to Andor is incredible. I honestly get down to a couple tracks from that show, like in the car when I'm on my way to work. There's a couple tracks. One is called Niamos, and then the other is, what is that called? I think it's called like Tourists Don't Run or something like that. Man, those are bangers. I'm just bumping going to work in the morning with those, so definitely check those out. Man, I'm just like honestly so hyped on Star Wars right now. I hope you guys are too, and you guys are having fun with it, because I don't know, it just like it's so crazy to me when I sit back and look at like what I'm doing right now. Obviously as far as content, like I always do, but I'm watching 3 separate technically Bad Batch just ended, but 4 separate Star Wars shows I'm like in the middle of watching right now or rewatching. And that's just phenomenal. Like I never would have thought I would say that or, be able to do that. There's just so much Star Wars content now that honestly, like you'll never run out, and it's all quality. And I mean, yeah, there's negatives to each project, but like the Clone Wars season 1, it's whack, but it's fun. It's so much fun. And Mando, it has its wackiness, but it's so much fun. And just the fact that I can, I'm getting my girlfriend to watch it more, and like she's like into it now. Like I've been sort of brainwashing her for the past few years to like Star Wars. I mean, she looks everywhere in our apartment, and Star Wars is kind of everywhere. But, she's always had like a little bit of like, oh, it's Star Wars, like, yeah, whatever. Like, she's always watched Mando, and she's always really enjoyed, like, she loved Boba Fett, and she liked Obi-Wan, and she didn't watch Andor until like recently when we started watching it again, when I started rewatching it. She didn't watch Andor when it came out. It just wasn't of interest to her. But now that she's watching it, she's loving it. So it's just awesome. Like the fact that I'm watching 2 separate Star Wars shows, 3 separate Star Wars shows with my girlfriend. Is that a flex? Sorry, guys. Did not mean to flex on you like that. But I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, we used to only have 6 movies to watch, and we'd rewatch those movies over and over and over again. And people appreciate and love every single thing about those movies. And now it just seems like people gloss over, one Star Wars project and they're on to the next. And that's fine. Like, I get it. There is a lot of content, and it's just kind of how the way like it works nowadays. But like, when you really take a step back and look at where we're at with Star Wars, this is literally the golden age of Star Wars. And I mean, we can still go back and watch those same 6 movies over and over and over again, but we have so much new stuff to explore and have fun with. And I mean, come on, that's such a treat. Like, I personally think about like, the people who didn't make it this far, like fans who were fans from 77 and would have loved to see all this new content and new shows, new movies, and like they didn't make it, like they were too old, or that's kind of depressing. But like, seriously, when you put it into perspective like that, we are so lucky as Star Wars fans to be able to experience this. And it really like it, I know I'm kind of a shill at this point, but and I harp on it a little too much maybe, but it just feels like, people's attitude towards Star Wars is so negative from the beginning. When they go in to watch something new, they're just expecting it to like be bad or whatever. I mean, it's going to be bad if you go in with that attitude. So I don't know. I approach every single episode with just like an open mind, and I'm ready to have fun with Star Wars. And it honestly, I don't think I've really been that disappointed since the start, of the sequels. Like there's been moments where I'm like, what's going on here? But when you rewatch it and you take a step back and you sort of think about things, and all the stuff that they have put out, at least in my opinion, has been quality and a lot of fun. So I'll stop being a Disney shill now. And I don't know, but seriously, people approach it with like this negative attitude, and like when you're like, okay, let's see what Mando's gonna do this week, and then oh, Paz is dumb, and oh, the armor's dumb, and oh my god, here's Bo-Katan. It's like when you approach it like that, and I feel like some people do, especially when we're like in the middle of a season and there's no resolution yet. Where's this going? Nothing's happened. It's like, dude, the season's not over. If you took the first 5 episodes of season 2 of Mando, you'd be like, nothing's happened. All we've seen is Bo-Katan and Ahsoka. Nothing's happened. But you wait for the end, and those last 3 episodes are literally some of the coolest episodes in Star Wars. So I just think, take a step back and let the show breathe and have fun with it, and don't be so serious about it. I know I say this like every episode of the podcast, so I apologize if I'm harping on it a little too much, but that's the type of stuff I feel like this fandom needs, and that's a message I want to spread. So if you're not with it, then hang yourself from a rail car and shoot the track so you fall about 2,000 feet. Oh, that's messed up. Let's get into the Bad Batch. I mean, I honestly couldn't have been more happy with the Bad Batch this season. Obviously, we got to see the finale, and that was epic, but they really did a good job of like expanding the characters and the story this season. Obviously, we were always going to get like the clone resolution after the Clone Wars and what happens to them, but I feel like they just did a really good job of showcasing the different points in this story and the different angles, with the group of the Bad Batch and Omega and Hunter, and then with Crosshair as well. I mean, we got to see some really unique angles of the Empire that we haven't seen. And I don't know, the story is just so much deeper than I thought it would ever be. Like when the first season was coming out, I just didn't expect this show to be like that serious and that deep. But I mean, it was some of the best Star Wars. The last 4 episodes or so. I mean, since the Outpost, I think those episodes were killer. And I feel like season 1 kind of started off with a bang and like was really hot coming in, but then it really like kind of died down around episode 10 or 11, and I kind of forget what even happens in those episodes. But this season was kind of the opposite. Like, it was a lot of setup in the beginning and a lot of quote unquote filler, and then it really just ramped up towards the end of the season to finish with a bang. And I mean, finish with a free fall, and it really just delivered on the message, or the point of the show, which was showing the effects of the Empire and how that is affecting the clones and the galaxy as a whole, and what it's like as this Empire starts to grow and starts to take control. And I don't know, I think that's probably one of the coolest stories that we've had in a while in terms of like the overall galaxy. Andor did a pretty good job, but it was a little focused on Cassian. Obviously it's called Andor, but like the Bad Batch really gave us a view of what the galaxy feels like in that time period when the Clone Wars have just ended. So obviously the finale was just heartbreaking. I don't know about you guys, but Tech dying, or people think he's alive, but I don't know about that. That moment when he's, when have we ever followed orders? I mean, dude, I was misty-eyed. I was seriously about to cry, and not a lot of Star Wars deaths or moments have made me cry. I don't know that I've ever cried other than when Mando and Grogu separated at the end of season 2. It just doesn't usually make me that emotional. I get more excited than anything in Star Wars, and I don't know, Tech dying was really, really tough. And they did such a good job of developing his character. And right from, I think it was episode 4, where there's that pod race or whatever it's called, I was like, something's going to happen to Tech. There's a reason that they're focusing on him so much. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm happy that I'm right. I hope that he stays dead, in a sense. Like, Star Wars does have the habit of bringing characters back, and I feel like this really gives the Bad Batch serious motivation to like hate the Empire and want to fight them. At the end, Hunter was a little bit like, "Oh, Omega, do you want to go live on Pabu and not fight this war?" But this, I feel like, is going to make all of them want to fight this Empire. And obviously Omega got kidnapped, so it's not looking good for them at the moment. But I really think Tech's death will motivate them to stay in the fight and like be rebels instead of just trying to, go off and live their lives. So I would love to know what you guys thought about the Bad Batch, the finale, and the season as a whole. So definitely hit me up. We can discuss your feelings on that. Stay away from Railcars. That's my only advice about that. Mando, chapter 21. I mean, to me, this episode made all the previous episodes worth it. I'm still seeing people say, "Where's this going?" and nothing's happened. And personally, I am not seeing that whatsoever. Like, I do understand the argument that Din hasn't been, the main focus this season. But honestly, I feel like that's kind of the point of this season, is like they're expanding the story and making Din involved in a larger scale objective of reforming Mandalore. Obviously, we're not getting to see as much of Din's feelings about it, but the season's not over, and we'll see where it goes. But this episode specifically, I feel like it was the perfect wrap up of like where these first 4 episodes have put us. I mean, we got the pirates. We got to see what was the point of them, and why were they in episode 1 and then not in the next 3 episodes. We got to see them. We got to see the reason for episode 2, which was the Mines of Mandalore, the Mythosaur, and them going back to Mandalore and seeing that it's still habitable. the armorer says, look, it's time to take back Mandalore. We're going to do this thing as all Mandalorians together. Episode 3, we got to see, the, I keep forgetting her name, Coruscant chick, Elia Kane. We got to see her, and we got to see the New Republic a little bit more and see where and why things are happening in the galaxy at this point. Episode 4, we got to see the Mandalorians band together and start to trust each other and work together as Mandalorians a little bit more. And then we got to see that in episode 5. All those things I feel like came together. I mean, really the only thing that didn't pay off was Grogu's rescue with Kelleran Beck. But I mean, I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more of that flashback, and it's not the only time we're going to see Kelleran. So to me, it just seemed like this episode kind of really brought everything together and is steering the ship now into where we're going to see Moff Gideon come back and what's going on with him. I mean, it just seems like the story is coming together, which people are still saying, where's this going? And this has no direction. And I don't know. I just don't see that. I didn't really see it in the first 4 episodes. I mean, I did agree it was a little bit all over the place, but you could still see, I mean, the Mandalorians are coming together. Moff Gideon is being set up, and now we're starting to see, he is coming back. And I thought it was sick how there's a little bit of Beskar left behind, and he was saved by Mandalorians. I wonder if that was mercenaries, hired to help Moff Gideon, or is Moff Gideon a Mandalorian? I had this theory, and I mean, it makes sense to me. He knows a lot about Mandalore. He knows about the Darksaber. He knows about Mandalorian ways, in which Din, who's a Mandalorian, doesn't even know about this stuff. And when you look at Moff Gideon's armor as well, he's like the only Imperial officer leader that has this armor. He's got, pauldrons on both shoulders. He's got a chest plate. He's got boots and knee guardings and whatnot. He's the only Imperial that we see like that, and I honestly think he's a former Mandalorian. He was some point, I don't know what faction he may have been involved with, but, he didn't remove his helmet for some time, and then, he realized that the Empire was the way, removed his helmet, and became an Imperial officer. That's my theory. Don't, take anything for verbatim on that, but I just think it would be so sick to... and for it to come full circle that the main villain of the show is a prior or a previous Mandalorian. And I just feel like that will send the whole Mandalorian structure and how much they've developed into haywire if they realize that Moff Gideon is a former Mandalorian. Who knows if we'll ever find out, though, because the show has literally no direction. Man, we got to see Zeb in live action. I mean, that was just cool. I think he looked amazing, and people were hyped. That was one of the highlights of the episode for people. And, it's just so funny how people don't want it to be all cameos and people, want it to be its own thing. But then Zeb shows up and that's all people are talking about. He was in there for 10 seconds. All I've seen is people post about Zeb. Nobody's posted about the giant space pirate battle or the Mandalorians absolutely kicking ass or anything like that. It's just Zeb. They're so excited, but we don't want this to be the cameo show, like it was in season 2. But regardless, he looked sick, and I'm sure it was a setup. He's going to be in Ahsoka, so they're trying to make people familiar with him as a character. And he looked amazing. The CGI was incredible. He sounded amazing. The same voice actor returned to play him, so it's going to be cool to see him in Ahsoka. And I hope we get to see him kick ass and rip stormtroopers apart, because that'd be awesome. The action in this episode was incredible. I don't get how you can have so much good action in a show and people be like, nothing's happening, and oh, blah, blah, blah. It's just dude, how much ass do we need to see Mando kick in his starfighter for, people to be like, okay, maybe this is actually a cool show? It just seems like people are glossing over how cool this show is and how we're getting to see all these Mandos fight together. And I mean, I remember in season 1 when episode 3, when Din is being saved by the Mandalorians on Navarro, when he has Grogu. seeing the Mandos drop in on their jetpacks and just start blasting the bounty hunters. I mean, I thought that was like the epitome of Star Wars. Nothing could ever be cooler. And now, we're seeing whole assault teams of Mandos drop into Navarro, kick pirate ass, work together, seeing their commands and whatnot. And it's just like, that's pretty cool, what's next? Where's this going? I don't know. I just, that part is so sick to me. We're getting to see these Mandos, like, we're getting a little bit of character development in them with like that Shriek Hawk team. Those guys look really cool together with their blue and silver armor. And we're just, we're seeing the Mandalorians develop as a people again. And they're kind of invincible when they work together. So I hope we see more of that. I feel like we're going to get like a big Mandalorian showdown between Moff Gideon's Mandos and Din's Mandos. And we'll see where that goes. But we haven't seen much of Grogu the past couple episodes. I'm sure to some people's delight, people are, Grogu haters now. They're tired of seeing him in the Target aisle. But I hope we can get a little bit more of Din and Grogu for sure. Like, just them, maybe, and their characters and what's going on in their heads a little bit more, because it has been a little, bit more world building and trying to set up the story. So I hope at least by the end we can see a little bit of like why, it was important for Din and Grogu to come back together, and, maybe them be the reason that, they capture Moff Gideon or kill Moff Gideon or whatever. Like, they work together, and Grogu is a big part of that. So I do hope that. I know most of you guys would rather see Grogu die, but that's about it, guys. If you like to listen to me talk and you want more of my voice in your ears, definitely check out my YouTube channel. I do post a podcast on there, but I've got pretty much a video coming out every day or every other day, breaking down something in Star Wars. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Follow me on Instagram. You know what's good there. If you're on Apple or Spotify, please leave a review. Would much appreciate that. That would make you a good Mandalorian. Yeah, and I'm going to go enjoy some more of my Star Wars cocktail. I got Andor, I got Clone Wars, I got Mando. Oh man, I'm so drunk on Star Wars right now. It feels amazing, and I hope you guys are enjoying. We're looking forward to Mando Chapter 22 this week, and it's going to be fun. I hope we see Moff Gideon. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to see that guy. And yeah, well, hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Peace.